I'm gonna go the coil the other direction just to see.
The butterfly one's in too.
How deep would you consider deep?
Well, that's pretty much maximum, I'd say, what this can detect. We should have Colin hit this, see if here's his.
So you're getting this is what I'm interested about this site versus we haven't seen that somewhere else.
Here's a maximum mode.
Let me hit this right here then, Brian.
Right there. I like.
See what you can find right here.
It might be.
And then check right here.
See, this is coming from that one. I think is where
Yeah,
I get
shallow nail.
Yeah, I think. See how here you can hear this is the same tone as that. There's.
So David, these are really deep.
What does that
See,
mean?
the-
How
see-
deep is really deep?
Over 12 inches.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
For a metal detector, that's deep.
Is that?
for typical. Yeah, there are some that can go down.
Most of the artifact scatters we found here were in the first 6 to 8 inches. Like the fill had been dropped just on the surface.
Yeah, this is the one we very deep, barely detectable. A lot like this one right here. See, it just
What if-
barely,
all right.
barely detectable. Let's switch modes. Let's go back to here.
See if there's anything right here. That could be a
see,
corner.
that mode shuts it all the way off. That's interesting.
Right in that area, Brian. How
I think-
deep is
I
that?
think I'm influenced by that. Oh, are we running?
Hopefully they're not shooting our way.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, yeah, if you think about it. Things have like 5,000 meter range. I don't see.
So the lid shadow was from the southeast, southwest, or east, or south. Shallow.
Yeah, yeah, that's showing 6 to 8 inches, something a lot like this one right here. 4 or 5, occasional. For some reason I'm not. Oh yeah, there it is. I think we're a hair off
We're
of the
that
block.
close. We
It's
can
got-
hear Camp Russell shooting apparently.
There's a shallow, or
Sounds like machine
there's
gun
nothing
fire.
in that area.
I always
What
told
is
the
it?
troops that when I ran the range,
What is that?
6 to 8.
That's
Burst.
fairly deep. See, I'm
6 to
getting
8
that
round burst.
normally
That's what I'm
very
hearing.
small, very low number.
Can you confirm the depth of this one and that one? The two yellows on the perimeter?
See, this one's really hard to reproduce. There it is. It's
So the other thing too is what we determined in this
right about here.
is that when Pete buried the grave, there was some debris down at the bottom because he didn't screen the soil.
Oh, okay.
So it got scattered throughout. It was very contaminated. But most of it was on the surface. But that would make more sense if they filled this after 57 from that church construction, that there would be more shallow or deep.
That's fairly deep. See, it gets that weird tone once in a while. It's just off the scale. It's it's like I'd say right about there. Yeah.
Can you check that yellow one and this yellow one again?
I'm gonna pick up the block so it's not in my way.
That's on surface like, doesn't it?
No, the tone is strong, but it's showing over scale. It's over 10 inches, but
I got behind the caravan
I think yellow is a good color for this one.
maximum of 50 miles an hour. There's so many of
I
them.
don't like that.
This group.
But it is what it is.
And what do you do? All the way to Duluth.
I'm gonna go back to this. This is really sharp, 2, 3, 4 iron. I don't get much this way, this direction, but get a little bit this way.
Check that one up there then, Brian. That one, the
I don't know how deep this is, but it's got to be deep.
You'd
Well,
think they could pull over.
But it doesn't make sense that it, if it's related to the burial, way out there is sort of strange, huh? Which one did you want to check?
that one right there in the corner.
Corner. Not exactly the same as the other yellow one. single digits, sharp, depths off the scale. Pinpointer can barely get it, so it's deep. Or small. Sometimes a nail standing up on end will really mess with your
Your
too,
sensor.
But
So it's possible it could be a nail that's
Uh,
just not deep, but it's just on end.
yeah, it's a fairly sharp signal, fairly sharp snap, so it could be something a little shallower, but standing upright, which would make sense with a corner piece, but
We didn't check all the area that I wanted to check yet, but this one has nail scatter, more shallow, but there's something much deeper in the center of this hole, much deeper. And in some cases, it seemingly bigger. I feel like
well, definitely burial, but yeah,
we think this was filled where this trail is at. It doesn't seem natural.
oh, I see, okay.
So David, I'm gonna have Brian kind of tell you or talk about what we have found here today. And so I'll let you
yeah,
discuss this.
well, this area up here, as you can see all the colored blocks, they don't necessarily indicate anything exact because we can't, but they're all a scattering of metal, iron, 6 to 8 inches below the soil. It's pretty consistent. Some of these yellow ones somewhat indicate maybe something a little bit deeper, but again, it's pretty scattered. We think this was all filled, probably. It looks a little bit unnatural. You can see from the grave site, it slopes uphill here. Maybe they filled it with the debris from the old church to make a better walkway. They may have filled in around here to make it easier to mow around these tree roots. The spruce roots tend to grow up on top of the ground sometimes. Oh, sorry. And then over here in this depression though, yeah, we're seeing some of the same things here, 6 to 8 inches, iron around here, but these are deeper. And we're not seeing the real shallow iron hits in this depression.
The other
so-
thing is they seem to be potentially related to each other, where this seems to be more random. We don't find the closeness we would expect.
Or the pattern.
Had that crate been, I was thinking she might be adjacent to the exhumation from last week, but we don't see it. So my
Especially these two corners being right in the depression are they're very deep or very small.
And if it's hypothetical that that crate is there, it could be the edges of that crate as well that are vertical. Because that crate had 4 metal corners.
It's hard to tell how much was filled in here, but
Yeah.
it certainly looks to be 6 to 8 inches shallower than
Yeah.
the normal soil.
That crate would have collapsed
Mm-hmm.
at some point.
Yeah, I just wonder if the crate was the box was fairly large. The bones were, not a very large pile in there. I wonder if he put soil in the box before he covered it up. Or is
I
that,
would doubt it.
He left it empty.
Usually, I've never seen or heard of them doing anything like
But
that.
the ends, the handles were open, so the soil as it got wet could have flowed in from the edges. And so when it did cave in, it may not have been as drastic had that
Yeah.
not occurred.
yeah, it's sandy. It would have washed probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the photo shows that there are gaps in the box, right?
Yes.
In that type of crate.
Yeah, even the boards have a little bit of gaps, perhaps, even in the cover.
Yeah. And the hinge lid. Did Jeremy tell you how that hinge lid?
No.
We figured out how that hinge lid worked.
You have a picture of
Jeremy,
that you can share?
Yeah, I do have a picture of it. I have one that I
that one.
So, Carl Faust has a bunch of old beer crates because his dad worked in distribution of beverages.
Yeah.
His measurements are 24 by 16 on those crates.
See how it looks like the hinge isn't connected, but it's actually connected with a little shackle,
Yeah. Okay.
so that the hinge or the lid, as Jeremy proved, can be laid down
Yeah,
alongside the
along
crate,
outside the outside.
and then you set it up on top with the shackle.
Yeah.
And then there's a hole here where there would have been a latch, right? That was just apparently
The
gone.
latch was missing according to Carl.
Okay. Hmm. I'm just trying to get an idea.
Yeah,
So-
he is,
Deep this is.
These are like these 6-inch boards, 226. So this would have been
Yeah,
16-inch cover, roughly.
Yeah.
And that's the same measurements that Carl had in his crates. The
Okay,
slats are
sure.
missing, but you can see the slat
Yeah.
indications inside the box. And of course, that's a small copy of the photo, so you can't see everything that
Yeah,
I saw.
yeah.
But I put this white liner on it to show the ground level and shows how shallow it is.
Yeah.
It's like a foot below the surface, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
In fact, even to the top was looking at 622.
10 inches.
Yeah, 10.
So which way would the tree have been from here? There is one object here makes a shadow.
Well, that might be the tree from.
That tree shining.
But see the angle of the shadow on the box? That means the lid has to be, opening
Yeah.
this way.
Yeah, how would you
What
think?
time of day?
Yeah, depending on what time of day it was, of course. But you see the vegetation had to be summer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but it had to
It's
be summer.
likely June of 59.
Yeah.
It could have been August of 58, but that's when he got the permission from John Morrison.
The sun is coming from this way, which would means the lid would have been. The sun's there right now on the tree, so the shadow could be
Yeah.
And then, David, we measured the rough
would have been just on the picture
edge of the
there.
depression to where this one was. It's about 8 feet.
Ground looks fairly flat there, doesn't it?
Well, now that what we
Well,
know
this
now
end is higher,
is so much
evidently,
different than what we knew 10
than
days
this
ago.
end, though.
Yes.
And so
It is- it
going
goes up
forward,
this way a little bit.
it'd be interesting to find out from Jerry what he finds out from the sextant in from the controller in St. Cloud as to what records exist
Yes.
of the cemetery that's
one
here.
step back
They
and took the
owned
photo,
all
huh?
this property at one time.
You saw it.
Duluth does now, but
Tree
at one
or
time
something,
St. Cloud owned all
And
this.
there's a very good chance the burial records are there instead.
They have a vault that has stuff in it, he said, regarding
Definitely sandy.
this property and its purchase, but they don't know what it is, so he's gonna look it up, check it out.
Thank you. You called him while we were here this
Yeah,
morning?
Yep.